Hi everybody, guess where I am? I am in the car. I am in the parking lot of the PetSmart, and Jim is in his interview, hopefully going well. I did try to text him. I want to make sure he had reading glasses because I hate for him to go in there and be like, not prepared. But of course he wanted to be early, which means my brain wasn't awake to remind him before he got out of the car. So, I just drove him again, the same reason yesterday, just to give him some moral support, to let him be calm on the way. Sometimes driving can make people anxious in general. You know, if somebody cuts you off, you can't control how others on the road. You can only control your car, and you can control, to some extent, your feelings. I guess if you're in that place, that space of power, of self-mind kind of thing. But he just to ensure that he had a good, calm persona when he went for his interview, I decided to drive him. I asked him first. I was like, "Do you want me to drive you?" And he's like, "Would you?" And I was like, "Of course, of course. It's in town, so it's not far." And we got up. I was up anyway, but then I was able to have my coffee, and that's all I need. But I really am proud of him. I think I've told you guys that before. You know, in this world, mostly in this United States of America, which I'm not judging us compared to the rest of the world, but mostly in the United States of America, we spend an awful lot of time comparing ourselves to others. Really, that's very fruitless. I'm not trying to say that I'm greater than anybody for thinking this way or whatever, but I think that you're really doing a detriment to yourself when you spend time comparing yourself to others. So I guess what I'm saying is, as we were growing together, Jim and I, we did a lot of reflection on what we wanted to do for us, not what we wanted to have like others or what we wanted to do like others. We wanted to just reflect on what we have for us. And of course he's coming now, right? Because I just started vlogging. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Well, she wanted to do the interview because of the factor of my availability and whatnot. She doesn't really have any space for cashiers. She's going to talk to her pet care guy. The guy that basically is in charge of the pet care area.
Okay.
And see if he needs anybody, but she's not sure. She just wanted to go through the interview because retail, people come and go as much as they do in fast food. So she just wanted to get the interview part out of the way. So if she does have an opening, she can just give me a call. She'll hold on to my information for 60 days. After that, I'm probably going to have to come back and fill out another application or something. So the hunt is still on.
Okay. I was just telling them, I was just vlogging actually, I just started to think about comparing ourselves to others and how, what a detriment it is to your self-esteem. Not your self-esteem.
Yeah, I know.
Just
I know what you meant.
in general. Because when you compare yourself to others, and depending on who you compare them to, I'll be honest with you, that makes a difference. If you compare yourself to others who are more successful, what are you looking for? They're in the house, here.
No, I brought my sunglasses. Oh, there they are.
Oh, sorry, I thought I saw them in the house.
But I've got glasses there, so I don't really.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry. When you compare yourself to others, depending on who you compare yourself to, obviously, if you compare yourself to those who are not doing as well, it could boost your ego. But even that could make you get, not egotistical, but you can get like a wrong self-confidence or a wrong sense of self. I guess what I mean by that is, you have to do what you feel like in your heart you have to do. Basically, what I try to do is I try to say, Am I as good as I was yesterday? Can I be as good as I was? Am I going to be this good tomorrow? I don't even compare myself to myself, because I know that in growth and in age, things change, and that's important to remember. Because I could just sit here and be like, I have a family member who just like I feel like he lives in the past, that he's like, oh, when I was younger, I was this, and when I was younger, I was that, and I wish I could be that again. But that's not even good for his health, because he needs to appreciate who he is now, what he has today, what he can do today, and do it. Don't get the lazies, don't get the entitles. Just sit, just do what you can do every day. I feel like that's the lesson we learned from my dad. My dad, like, my pop got up and he was like, I cook, I can cook, I cook every day. I have to eat, I can do that, I can feed my family. I can go grocery shop. Like, whatever he could do, he did do up until his last day. You know, he forced himself through the pain to do physical therapy. His body just kept breaking down and down and down and down, and he just kept pushing himself. So it's just a matter of you, being you, and trying not to be someone else. You be the best version of you that you can be, and then you'll find yourself to be very happy and content, with your life. That's another one of those contentful things. I also saw this really great sign, that said, joy. How to achieve joy, is first you put Jesus, then you put others, and then you put yourself, which was really cool. So that's kind of another thing that also helps put a little joy in my life. Okay? So we're going to head to St. Louis today. Maybe we'll pick up the camera again. But if not, take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.
5.
Okay, so we're home for a bit. I tried to call Aunt Sue to see what time she wanted me to come. She said she'd be home all day, and she didn't answer, and it's 11:30. So I know she likes to sleep in, but she usually doesn't sleep in that late. I hope she's okay. But Jimmy's gonna go get changed, and then I told him to call me so that we should just leave. I know it's gonna sound so weird being on part of this like vlog where I told you, like, don't compare yourself to other people. But he's like, just come inside and we'll watch TV. And I was like, if I start watching TV, I'm gonna want to eat like breakfast, and then if I eat breakfast, then I'm gonna want to let my food settle. And I just like this whole process of taking my shoes off, putting my shoes on. It's so weird that I don't know. I would rather like not. I know you guys are like the heavy pause, but it's weird, and it makes me sound so lazy. But I just know myself, and I know that if I go in there and I eat breakfast, then I'm gonna wanna sit on the couch. I'm gonna want to take my shoes off. I'm gonna want to like start doing stuff around the house, get into projects, and I really can't do that, because then I could, but I don't really want to stop the projects in the middle of the projects, and I don't want to stop projects in the middle of them to then leave. I hate that. I really don't like starting. That's almost the reason why, you guys are gonna laugh, that I don't do projects that require E6000. Because I really don't like to start a project and not finish it. And that sounds crazy, why I always use hot glue. Because I don't have the patience to wait 24 hours for glue to dry. I think I've mentioned that before. The other thing, too, is like about painting, if I am going to paint something, like when I did the tissue jar, the eggs, and the 3-egg topiary, I painted that all in one day. I painted that all in one session. And I knew that if I painted everything right away, then by the time I was finished painting the last thing, the first thing would be ready to assemble. So I was able to do those 3 projects quicker than I would have if I just spray painted one project at a time. I know I'm so weird. I don't deny that. There's no denying that I'm weird. Actually, when I first met Jim, he played a song for me. Actually, we met on the phone, and when we were talking on the phone, he made like a playlist for me. Of course, this was the 90s, guys, so we did playlists, right? He made me, basically told me to listen to this section of music, and one of the things he said was, anyway, John Anderson has a song that's called "You're My Kind of Crazy." So it's not just that you're crazy; it's that you're my kind of crazy. Our crazies are compatible craziness. Oh man, it's insane. Time has gone by so fast. We are 2 months away from meeting each other 20 years ago, which is so weird to me. I was I was 28 years old. It's crazy. I was almost 29, don't get me wrong. But I was almost 29 when we met. It's weird. Time's gone by so fast. And it is funny that people used to say all the time, I don't really remember life before you. But honestly, it's a stretch. So we were talking about other stuff from the 90s. And it's been 90s week on HQ last week. And 90s have come up a lot. And we were talking about stuff, and I'm like, was that before I met you? Like, I kind of feel like there's memories that I've inserted him into. Isn't that weird that we do that? But yeah, he is something special. I guess if I didn't feel that way, I probably wouldn't have married him, right? He's struggling spiritually. Not spiritually, that's not the right word. Self-confidence, self-worthiness. I'm really trying to get him to understand that his self-worth is not wrapped up in his paycheck or his job title. That if employers or companies don't see his value, then that's their problem, not his. And that same thing goes for you guys too. If you're 40 and single and, you know, overweight and sitting home or working part-time, or you have a disability, or you're 54 and you're injured, or you have a medical condition that requires you to just not move much, that doesn't define you. None of that defines you. What that does is that just talks about your circumstances. What you decide to do about what you can do, make the decision that, hey, if today I can stretch on the couch and try to touch my toes, set yourself a realistic goal, say 10 times, 11 times. I did it 7 times yesterday. I'm going to try to do 10 times today. That is really what defines your character. How much you do of what you can do defines your self-worth. How you value yourself. Now, it's not how others, well, obviously, it's not how others value yourself. That's how, boy, that would sound like it was going to be so inspirational. It's not how others value you, it's how you value yourself that's important. Do what you can do. Love who you can love, whether it's your best friend or your mom or your sisters, whoever is in your life that you can love, no matter how you felt about them growing up. My sisters and my sisters were all a year apart from each other. They all like went through the school system together. And in fact, one of my sisters, the middle sister, was retained in second grade, and it was in the same grade as my third sister. And they basically were like up through school. The first two were like best friends. The second two like went through life together. And my brother was really pals with my mom, like because my mom was 18 when she had him. So they kind of like, I feel like they grew up together a little bit. So I kind of did feel a lot like I didn't have a close relationship with any of my brothers and sisters when I was younger. My mom took in my two cousins, and I felt like I was really close to my cousin, Tommy Tom. And then he moved when I was 7. So that was like harsh. You know, it was almost like the loss of a sibling. But then my little brother was born, and I had like a different relationship with him. You know, that kind of stuff. But I kind of never really felt like really, really close to my sisters until I was an adult. I mean, to be honest with you, even through my teen years, you know, they were already in their 20s when I was a teenager, or, you know, 17. I was 17 and they were 20, 21, and 22. So, yeah, so it's just weird to think like that we can have close. Okay, so before I wrap this up from the house, Jimmy just came back. Aunt Sue called. So we're going to be heading out here in a minute. I just wanted to tell you guys that regardless of what your past relationships were with your family and friends, that does not mean that your future relationships or your present relationships need to suffer. What you need to do is to forgive and forget. And I don't mean forget like you don't want to be naive about it necessarily, but there's a balance. You have to understand that people do change. I know they always say people don't really change. Oh, people do really change. People can really change. Not that they do, they can. People have experiences as their life goes on. You have more experiences that build your heart, spirit, character, whatever you want to say. So, yes, people do and can change, can and do change. Just because it didn't work out yesterday does not mean it won't work out today or tomorrow. And even if they're still that same old stubborn, spoiled, whatever, have a different relationship with them. Don't look at them in a resentful way necessarily, but look at them. Everybody's got gifts. Everybody's got blessings. Look at the people for what their blessings are. I just say this to you, that some people reach out to me that they don't have close friends. And what I'm trying to say to you is that you can have close friends and the people that you already have relationships with. You just have to put yourself out there. You have to open yourself up. And I don't know if I mentioned this in a vlog or if I was talking to a friend. I can't remember actually but I kind of feel like being the best friend is having a closed hand and an open heart. Open arms, I'm sorry. What I mean by that is to give but not expect to receive, and to always have your arms open to embrace whatever they have going on, whatever crap they put on you. Just embrace it and be there for them. And that's really what I feel like it's about, being the best friend you can. Words of encouragement, having 2 ears, like 2 ears and 1 mouth. God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth because he wants you to listen twice as much as he wants you to speak, kind of thing. So I definitely try to do that for my friends, and I do feel deep down in my heart that my friends are like that for me too. So that's the best way I can think of it. Have a full hands and empty arms. Yeah, so we'll maybe pick you up back up again. If not, again, we'll say goodbye now, and take care. God bless. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.